Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Munch Gang. We got a very exciting episode today. It's kind of weird, huh? You kind of have to pretend like there's people here.
Oh, no, not at all.
Just got to pretend there's people here, but yeah, we're here. And if you've noticed, I've moved a couple things around. With the old setup, I was tired of kind of breaking my neck to kind of look at each other.
Gotcha.
Because we were left to right. So
okay.
That was a kind of an issue. So now we're going face to face.
Excellent.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Which is great. Now we can make some eye contact and, or at least try to. But this is nice. This is nice. Hopefully the camera setup and the lighting is all good. But we'll see. It's been a while since I did an episode, actually, so I'm a little nervous right now.
I thought you did one in the last few weeks with Ray.
Ray, yeah, a couple weeks. I should be doing it every week, but, you know.
We're busy people.
We're busy. Yeah, we got normal jobs.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of busy, last week, first of all, our guest today is Bruce Bussard. Did I pronounce that right?
Close enough. It's Bussard.
Bussard.
But that's okay.
Is that like...
It's French.
French, okay.
Okay.
Interesting. Bruce Bussard, owner and founder of the Darkside.
That's correct.
Yeah. We actually had plans of doing this last week, but you ended up being busy. You had an event you had to take care of. You're helping
my mother, who owns the bead band, and every year she puts on a Mother's Day festival, and it's a huge event.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So, if you don't know what the Bead Man is, what is the Bead Man? So
the Bead Man is obviously beads, but they do sterling jewelry and wind chimes and incense and sarongs and tie-dyes and sundresses, and it's just a really cool store. It's a visual experience unto itself. It's even if you don't buy, a lot of people just go in to see the things that she has because she has so many different nifty cool things.
If you weren't familiar with the culture, I guess if you're from outside, people would probably call it like a hippie kind of culture.
It is kind of a hippie culture, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've been in there a couple times. Mother's Day, yeah. Actually, after I talked to you about that, my buddy called me. He's like, hey, I'm going to this event tomorrow, the Bead Man. I was like,
nice, what? Okay.
What are the odds?
Yeah.
So how did it turn out?
Really well. This is their 21st year of doing it, so they have just a massive turnout.
Yeah.
Thousands of people show up.
Wow, thousands is quite a bit.
Yes, it is.
And you guys just throw it out in the front parking lot of the Bead Man?
This year they had, I think, 85 vendors, and they had a couple food vendors as well, and just everything that you can. I mean, they had people that did ceramics and crocheted items, leather, woodworked items.
Yeah,
just stuff.
Just anything you could think of,
yeah.
Right? Huh? Can you scoot the mic a little closer to you?
Absolutely. Is that better?
Yeah, that's a lot better.
All right.
There you go. Now you can hear yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Mother's Day, perfect time to get your mom some jewelry or something.
Absolutely.
Especially something that's homemade, because a lot of those things are
if you
handmade.
didn't make it, you couldn't be at the event as a vendor.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so you couldn't just buy things pre-made to sell.
Yeah, weed out the the whatever they are.
Yes. The mass manufactured things. So everything you got there was there was just a nice little extra added fact that you're getting to actually meet the person as well that makes the products, because they're the ones that are in their booth selling the stuff.
Yeah, that's sweet. Were you there? So the event was on Saturday?
Yes.
You were there all day?
No.
But
I was there for a while. But obviously I have my store that I need to run also. So I went by and helped my mother. I wandered through the vendors. This was the first year, though, I didn't buy anything from the vendors. I try to always, help support the events she does by making purchases from her vendors. But for some reason this year, I just didn't.
No, not this time.
Nothing really grabbed me this time.
Yeah, I'm sure after 21 years, you're like, man, I think I've seen it all.
I probably have.
Yeah, that's interesting. So yeah, I mean, you got your own business to worry about, so that's a thing of its own, right?
It is.
Busybody. You got the dark side. How long have you had Darkside for? The Darkside.
41 years.
41 years.
I started when I was a junior in high school in 1983.
Wow.
So a long time. Before what I was doing was even culturally acceptable, really, or socially acceptable.
Yeah, because you've been always selling bongs and pipes and glasswork.
Yep, that's how it started. My mother had the bead vents at that time. She's been in business for 50 plus years. And she got a catalog in the mail from a company that she didn't want. She just threw in the trash, and I asked if I could have it. And she said, yeah. So I made a purchase from the company. It was Pipe Dreams Incorporated. And it was about $83 worth of stuff. And when it came in, I thought for sure I just wasted my money.
Yeah.
And my mom's all like, nope, this is how you do retail. She gave me a little spot in her store. And I sold it all in a couple days.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just ordered more and ordered more. And after about 5 or 6 years, I ended up with such an amount of clientele that I had to separate from her business because our customers were getting in the way of each other.
Oh, I could see that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I can't, but that's interesting. So the 80, you said 83. 83.
Yeah. And
how many items did you buy at the first go?
I don't know how many it was. Wasn't a whole lot, but it was an $83 order.
$83 on 1980 in 1983.
In 1983.
Very interesting.
Yes.
Very interesting how things align like that.
Yes.
And the dark side. So, how long after that did it take for you to come up with the name?
So as soon as I broke away from my mother, I started using the name Darkside. And a lot of people think it's in reference to Star Wars.
I was going to ask you.
It absolutely wasn't, though. Everybody has a dark side. Everybody.
Yeah, that's true.
And back then, since that wasn't really socially acceptable, that was part of your dark side, because a lot of people would buy a bong, but they wouldn't let their friends and buddies know because they were afraid, because we were a redneck community, really, is what we were back then.
I bet back then, too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Before we had buildings.
Yeah. But, so that's where the name initially came from.
Oh, yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it, yeah. Because I first thought it was like the dark side, but was Star Wars even out by then? I don't know.
It was. It came out in 1977.
Oh, so it's
So it'd been
close.
Pretty close.
Wow. So is it the dark side or just dark side?
Either way.
Okay.
It's dark side, but most people just refer to the dark side. So either way works for me.
Yeah, and at the time in the 80s or 70s, there's a lot of like hippies and drug use during that time. Like it was super frowned upon.
It was very frowned upon. When I was in high school at that time, I think I only knew maybe 10 other people that smoked pot. There was 433 kids in my school, so
yeah,
that's not a very large percentage, and maybe more did, but it was so hush hush. It wasn't something that you let your friends and buddies know, because you were afraid if they didn't do it, they might snitch on you.
They'll snitch on you. Yeah, they will. And I mean, I've had a couple grandparents or older OGs that talk about weed as if it's a drug that's super dangerous. I guess at a time people thought that smoking pot would make you jump out of windows or jump off of roofs.
Well, so when I was young, we used to call it dope. Now dope refers to obviously a different sort of drug.
Yeah.
But they called it dope because it made you dopey.
Whatever that means.
Well, you're not clear-minded, It's like any other substance, though. The more you consume it, the more it becomes a natural part of what you do, and that dopiness goes away.
Right. You build like a tolerance to it.
You do.
Yeah. But it was never as bad. I think it just got a bad rap, compared to, all those other harder drugs that are around.
Well, even back then, there was a little bit of crank back then, which was the precursor to the current meth that we understand. They called it crank because it was primarily made by the Hells Angels, and they used to smuggle it in the crankcases of their motorcycles, and that's how it got its name.
Whoa, that's a good history. I'd never heard of that.
Yeah.
Because always heard good things about Hell's Angels. So
Oh, there's
I
good.
mean, I guess they're good people,
No,
but
there's a lot of good ones and there's a lot of bad ones. I mean, it's like any group of people. There's good and bad.
that's right. Yeah. So even though weed was such a kind of like a taboo at the time, you still managed to sell all your product in the 80s and
Yes.
coming up through the 90s there.
Yep.
Wow. Amazing.
So,
And
so
go ahead.
I was going to say, weed was such a taboo that in 1990, 1991, I did 270 days for 21 grams of pot.
Wait, what's that mean? Wait, say that again.
So I went to jail for 271 days here in the county.
You did time.
I did time for 21 grams of pot.
Wow.
So
Two-
that's not much weed. But back then, it was absolutely illegal.
Yeah.
A joint would send you to the county jail sometimes.
Yeah, you couldn't even have it on your
And
smell or
no,
anything.
yeah.
Because, well, to put into reference, 21 grams is just short of an ounce or something
Yeah,
like that.
28 grams is an ounce, so it's
Yeah.
3/4 of an ounce,
Yeah, which is nothing.
which is really nothing.
Yeah.
But I knew the risk I was running. I don't. Matter of fact, the officer that arrested me was my neighbor, someone I had grown up with and went to school with. Later on in life, he apologized for arresting me,
Yeah.
and he really thought that I had a negative outlook towards him. And I'm all like, no, I don't hate him. I don't have any ill will or begrudgings towards him because that's what he did for a living. We still actually talk to this day.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess he's just trying to do his job.
he was.
Yeah.
But I knew the risk I was running, so anything that happened to me was my fault.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, though. Now, what, 30 years later, everything has changed.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you can get
You can walk around with an ounce or...
you can get pulled over with several pounds in your car,
And-
and they will just let you go.
Oh, wow.
They don't even take it from me. They don't cite you. It's not worth the effort anymore.
Yeah. But then they still have people, like you were incarcerated for 221 days or whatever. There's people that were incarcerated, for 10 years for something just as simple as that.
Yes.
And even if maybe they didn't have the weed in their system, maybe they're just transporting it or whatever they have to do. But it's interesting now that it's a little more understandable and like less taboo, more...
Yes.
Because it's really not that bad of a, it's...
Well, there are two sides to that coin. I started smoking pot when I graduated from 8th grade, so basically the summer before I started high school. And it's full of a substance called I don't give a shit. And I've done well for myself in life. I think I could have done better had I not been exposed to marijuana at such a young age. And it was a peer pressure thing. My buddy had some, and he's all like, hey, you want to smoke some pot? I'm like, sure. And
Why not?
yeah. And it changed my outlook towards school and education, unfortunately. Not that I didn't do well in school. I still graduated 33rd in my class.
Yeah, out of, we said 400 something?
Well, when they split Anderson High School and West Valley at that time when I was in school, so out of 235 students, I finished 33rd. So I did very well.
That's great, yeah.
But I could have done better because I kind of skated through school.
Did it make you more lazy?
Yes.
Yeah.
It did not. It made me definitely not apply myself like I used to apply myself.
Yeah, I see. And it can do that for sure.
Oh, yes,
I've
absolutely.
met people that can work just fine and,
And
they work better.
Oh no, absolutely. And don't get me wrong. I was a very functioning pothead without question. I smoked a lot. Even at one time, I grew a lot of weed. But I honestly think my life could be more had I not been involved with it.
I think you got it pretty good right now, at least from...
No, I do. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking where I'm at in life at all.
Well, maybe if you didn't smoke, you'd be on the light side.
Yeah, maybe. No, I would have probably gone into politics, or I would have been a lawyer.
Oh, a lawyer's not bad.
Yeah.
That's a dedication right there, though. That's
It is.
10 plus years, probably.
Matter of fact, all the way until I started smoking pot, when you would be asked in school, what do you want to be when you grew up? I always told them President of the United States. And all of my teachers believed that that's where I was heading in life because I was one of the smartest kids in my class, and I didn't have to try that hard, in my opinion.
It just came easy to you.
It came easy to me. And for some reason, I just knew stuff. Without reading a book, without studying things, I just knew things.
Wow. That's good. Have you ever tried like testing your IQ or anything like that?
So in the 7th grade, back then there wasn't ADHD. You were a hyper kid or whatever, and they just made you play more. Well, I was becoming such a disturbance in the classrooms that they sent me to the school psychologist. And talked with him for 2 or 3 days, and then they gave me an IQ test. In the 7th grade, they told me if I wanted, I could take the high school proficiency test and probably graduate and leave school. And I didn't want to do that.
Graduate high school too, or
yeah, graduate from high school in
7th grade.
In 7th grade.
Wow, that's yeah.
Yeah. So they actually suggested that I did that, and I didn't want to because I knew I would miss out on a lot of social interaction growing up in those very formidable years.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I guess you're very intelligent.
I don't consider myself so, but people tell me that pretty regularly, but I don't consider myself to be very intelligent. I might be a little above average, but I don't consider myself to be that intelligent.
Oh, well, so after high school, you graduated, and how old were you when you decided to start, or your mom started to sell you that little book thing, or?
So I was 17.
Oh, when that happened. So
yeah,
you were
so
just...
I was a junior in high school, so in 1983.
Oh, and you were just like, this is it?
Well, it kind of already went with what I was doing because I was smoking pot.
Yeah.
So it kind of went hand in hand.
Yeah.
And...
so you had your own little section inside your mother's store?
Yeah, she gave me a little 3-foot, 4-foot long section of shelf in her store, and I just put my stuff on there, and it sold. Like I say, it was an accident. It wasn't something that I sought out to do. I just saw it as another way to potentially make money. I was very money motivated when I was young.
Great. So I'm assuming you sold to like friends at first. You're like, hey guys, I got this place, or no?
Nope. Matter of fact, I didn't even do any advertising. It was initially just from people coming through the doors of my mother's store looking for the products she was offering, and they're like, oh, look at that.
Sweet. Not 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yes. So it was really organically done. Wow. It just kind of naturally grew. And it grew and grew, and now it is what it is today.
And then you got a bigger desk or bigger area, and then you decided you need to get your own little spot, or...
Well, basically my mother said that I need to get separating from her business because I was getting so many customers through the door that it was starting to interfere with her business.
Mm. So I know you have a store in Red Bluff, correct?
I do.
Is that where you first opened, or
no?
Oh, so you started in Reading.
In Reading. So I don't know if you know where the Tropics Bar is on South Market Street.
Oh yeah.
Right next door, there's a little bitty building that's Rico's. It's tacos or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the carpet store or whatever it is. So that building's, I'm good with numbers. That building is 478 square feet. That was the first building I was in. And we did tattooing at that time also.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. It used to be Darkside and tattooing.
Yeah, that's right.
So when you opened up, it was decided that you wanted to do both?
It just kind of worked out that way.
Okay. Were you doing the tattoos at one point, or did you have a buddy?
I did some tattooing, but I'm not near as qualified as people that really do this for a living.
Some of them, yeah. Really.
Some of them are really good. And back then, you didn't have near as many qualified artists to choose from. There's a lot of bad tattoos that came out of shops back then, including mine.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with I don't know if there was safety regulations back then as much as they are now.
There were. You still used...
bloodborne pathogens.
So you still used needles once, and you didn't cross-contaminate your inks. And we had autoclaves, which are hospital sterilization units. So some of the equipment was sterilized. All the needles came in back then, and you actually had to build your needles. Now there's companies that you can just buy them pre-made from.
Yeah, and you just change them every time.
Yeah.
Because they come. I had a buddy that tattooed. I think you buy the needles for like $1 a piece or something.
They're
like
really
that.
inexpensive, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's never a reason to ever reuse your equipment. It's so inexpensive for what you charge.
Yeah. There's definitely a big profit margin there.
There is. It's really, you're paying for the art.
Yeah.
That's really what you're paying for.
Wow. So Darkside and tattooing, and how long did that go for?
Oh.
I want to say it went for pretty long because I was...
It did. It was in 2010, maybe 2012 when we stopped tattooing.
Yeah, I remember the commercial. It's like, what was it?
It's Darkside and Tattooing, Express Yourself.
Express Yourself.
Yeah,
that's what I thought, but I thought I was mixing it with McDonald's or something. I was like, Express Yourself.
That's exactly what it was. See, and that was part of having a theme song, is it's designed to stick into people's minds. And here it is years later, and you still remember it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's kind of like my mother's ads, if you've ever heard them. It's, you must go to the bead man.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
so that's her tagline. And
Those little things.
yes.
Especially on the radio. You hear it at least, 10 times a day.
Oh, yeah, Mom advertises a lot. I don't advertise as much as I used to.
Yeah. Advertising, definitely helps. I mean, depending on how you advertise too, can be expensive, right?
It can be. It didn't used to be. It used to be that TV was cheaper than radio when I first started advertising. And then in about 2000, 2003, it flipped. And radio became the inexpensive format, and TV became the more expensive format to use. And then they got to a point where they wouldn't let me advertise on TV anymore.
Oh, because it's promoting...
Well, even if we didn't advertise the pipes, they had this issue with advertising tattooing, which was our primary other thing.
No, that's interesting why they wouldn't have that on there. But then you'll see like doctors and nurses doing surgery on TV.
Sure, well, but it was a different culture back then. The world was different. I mean, now you hear advertisements for collectives on the radio.
Yeah.
20 years ago, you wouldn't have.
Right.
So
I just had a question, but I forgot. What was it? Oh, with those like TV commercials, are you making those videos yourself and then setting it in for them?
No, so back then, you didn't have, we didn't all have our phones with cool cameras on them and video capability. So the TV station would send somebody down.
Oh, and then just film a little commercial for you.
Correct. So they would take footage of this and footage of that, footage of the other thing, maybe footage of the tattooer working, and maybe me ringing someone up at the cash register, and then they would combine that into a commercial.
And then put a voiceover.
And they'd put a voiceover on it.
Huh. It's a weird time. Yeah, now everybody can just film and make movies out of their screen.
They can. Phones. You can edit it and everything right on your phone.
Wow. So how many years is it now? So from 1983, that's 41 years.
Correct.
Long time.
It is.
So then you dropped the tattoo side.
Yes. So my last two tattooers died of heart attacks, and I figured that was a sign just to stop.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
They died within a year of each other. One was kind of expected. He was extremely overweight, smoked 2 packs of cigarettes or more a day.
Oh, that's, yeah.
Now, the other guy, he was
healthy.
34. He worked out all the time. Very healthy, very healthy eating, conscientious-wise. And he was visiting his family in New York when he died of a heart attack.
Wow, that's so sad.
Yes, it is.
What was his name?
Lauren Webster.
Lauren Webster. Wow. Rest in peace.
Yes.
So the tattoo dropped, and when did skateboarding come into the picture?
So, skateboarding was actually, I was doing it in the early 90s. Basically, all my employees skated at that time, and they're like, why don't we carry this stuff? And I'm like, I don't know. And so they got me involved with, I think back then it was Creature, Black Label, and maybe Alien Workshop. I think those were the three first ones we had. So we sold skate supplies for about 4 or 5 years, and then all of a sudden I had no skaters again.
Yeah.
And back then you really needed to have skaters to bring that group of people in that skated to buy the stuff.
Yeah.
So skate sales dramatically fell off. So I just sold it off, replaced it with product that would sell more rapidly, because that's the idea, obviously, of being a business, is having a turnover of product.
Right.
And then about 8 years later, I started carrying it again, because the people that I worked with, all but one person, skateboarded.
Yeah, I think there was from listening to skateboarding podcasts, there's an era where skating kind of just dropped off.
It
was
did.
like popular, and then it went unpopular, and then it picked back up later.
Sure.
I don't know what exact years it was, but there was definitely a drop off point.
There was.
But so you did the skateboarding, dropped it, came back. Skateboarding became popular again. Was that around the time? Do you remember when Johnny Rad's opened up? Or?
Yeah.
I don't, because Johnny Rad's has been open for a while.
It was for a long time. I used to send people to him when we had skate stuff, and he probably sent people to me. And then I stopped selling skate stuff again, and I would send everybody to him. I'm big on sending people to, like a lot of people are like, you're really going to send me to your competitor? I'm like, well, they're not my competitor if I don't have what you want. And good business is to refer people to get what they want elsewhere. But a lot of businesses don't do that. It used to be a common thing.
Yeah.
And then towards the last few years, my customers were like, man, I wish you would start carrying skate stuff again. We go down to Johnny's, and quite often he's just not there. There's a sign on the door that says, hey, I'll be back in 20 minutes or an hour. And they'll come back 3 hours later, and he still wasn't there.
I remember those times.
See, so I picked it up again, and we've been doing it since.
Interesting. Yeah, because with skate product, you kind of have to go through, I don't know if you have to have like a store number or something. You got to go through the direct distributors, right? Straight out of like NHS or Deluxe, or they have third party.
So the largest supplier of skate equipment in the United States is a company called Eastern Skate Supply. They offer at least 350 different brands of skate stuff. When I got involved with them, I had no idea there was that many brands in the industry.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So they just buy all this. They're like the e-commerce version of Walmart or something.
Kind of. I don't know if they sell to the public or if they just strictly do wholesale. But I do still buy directly from NHS, and I buy from Deluxe, and I buy from Alien Workshop. I always try to go direct when I can, because if I buy from Eastern Skate Supply, even though I'm buying per se an Alien Workshop product, they're not making as much money as if I bought it directly from them. Because they have to give them a distributor price.
Oh.
Because they have to make a profit or they're not going to sell it.
Yeah. Especially if they're buying in bulk, they probably get a huge discount.
They do. But I'd rather buy direct, even though I might pay the exact same price, sometimes even a little bit more, but I feel that I'm supporting a smaller business.
Yeah. I mean, either way, you're spreading skateboards around.
No, absolutely. Matter of fact, I just did a deal with NHS here recently. They gave us a really good deal on 50 completes, because it used to be Reading Harley Davidson. Now I think it's Cascade Harley. They're on Twinview Boulevard. It's under new ownership. So we are co-sponsoring an upcoming skate event with them. Oh, and they're going to give away 50 complete skateboards they're going to be Creatures and Santa Cruz decks.
Wow, 50 is quite a lot.
It is. So,
because if you think each board costs at least $150, So 150.
They gave us such a sweet deal. I can't tell you how cheap it was, but I told them what we were doing, and we were just going to be giving them away. So they gave us a really, really good deal on it. Matter of fact, NHS might even send up a rep that day.
No, that's amazing. I was just explaining it because I think it's important for younger skaters or skaters in general just to understand the amount of money that could be made, you know, if they weren't
absolutely.
giving it, if you guys weren't giving it for free or
Absolutely.
kind of donating or, you know.
And we're big on, like, when they do the skate camps, we usually try to get involved with them as well and give them some free product, because someone's going to break a board, someone's going to have a problem. We give them some discount cards, because it's always the parents that are paying, so the parents can come in and get a discount on something for the needs of their kids.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, skateboarding is always something breaking on those things.
Always.
It's a good market. It's good and bad at the same time.
You were talking about profits and stuff. It's another one that's getting tougher because of the internet. The internet does make it really difficult on brick and mortars to make a decent profit anymore.
Especially with companies like Amazon and
Amazon is one of them.
Yeah, I saw the other day on like Facebook or something how many stores were closing down because of online sales.
Yeah.
And, you know, all these out of the country companies selling stuff.
No,
too.
absolutely.
And I don't know if it's a good thing. It doesn't seem like it's a good thing, right?
Well, the only group that it's good for is the consumer, because they're getting product for less.
Yeah, there's that too.
So anytime you can buy anything for less, don't you want to?
Yeah.
So it has its good and bad points. But Amazon may not always be around, and it's hard for us to wrap our head around such a thing. But think of it like this. Sears and Roebuck, the Sears and Roebuck catalog 100 years ago was the Amazon of its time. It dominated the retail market.
Yeah.
And it's gone now.
Yeah, there's no Sears at all, right? There's
No.
Ours closed down, that's for sure.
Yes. So things do change. Amazon may not always be the best thing.
Yeah. Do you have a website? Do you do online sales?
I don't do online sales. I probably should, but I don't. I used to. I used to sell high-end glass. It's called heady glass. A cheap pipe or bong would have been $300, and I sold some that were several $1,000s. They're one-of-a-kind pieces. They're signed and dated from known artists, and some people just collect glass. I always tell everybody, if you're going to spend $1,000 on a pipe or a bong, you should use it, because a lot of people are like, man, if I ever bought that, I'd just put it over there on the shelf and admire it. But that's like buying a Porsche and putting it in the garage and saying, hey, I have a Porsche.
Yeah.
What's the point? Get out there and drive that thing.
That's true. I mean, I guess they're scared of breaking it or something. I've seen some of that glass work. I remember coming in for because you always do a 420 event.
Correct.
And those are cool because huge discounts.
Yes.
Awesome. And I came in and bought some boards, I think. This was a couple of years ago. But I remember you also had some guy blowing glass or something right in the front. This was at the old Darkside.
It was at the old Darkside. It would have been, was there one blower or two blowers there?
I don't remember.
It was probably Frankie Hess, who is a local artist. And he was a student of a guy named Eugene. And Eugene in the glassblowing industry is like the rock star of the industry.
Really?
He sells pipes for $10,000 and $20,000.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he's such a humble, nice guy. He used to come into my store. I used to buy stuff from him before he became so famous that he's pulled in every direction all the time now. So he doesn't have time to come visit us anymore. But he used to come and skate with us.
What?
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of that work, because they've made, dragons. They've made all sorts of characters that just, anything you could think of.
Yeah.
Like anything, they could make Spider-Man. I've seen a couple crazy items there.
And the industry crosses over into other things. There's a guy I know named Chris Hurley, and he makes precision glass pieces for satellites. I don't know what the piece is, and I don't know what it does, but he makes stuff that's orbiting the planet. It's for satellite. Yeah.
That's the money maker right there.
You would think so, yeah.
Wow. Glass in space.
Yes.
Think about that. You got artwork in space.
Yes.
The aliens are looking at it.
That's right.
That's very interesting. Yeah. That's cool. What was I getting at this? So we were at skateboarding.
We're expanding that as well right now. In the next 3 weeks, we're knocking down part of one of the walls, and we're going to probably almost double the skate department.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I've noticed because recently you just sponsored a couple kids.
Yes.
Also.
We hadn't done that in a few years. We'd been doing sponsoring in the past, and then when I moved to this building, I was so busy playing catch up that I really just didn't have time to sponsor. So this year we're sponsoring 3 individuals. I was trying to do 4. We wanted 2 under 18 and 2 over 18.
Right.
So the under 18's name is Chance.
Mm-hmm. And you got Cam.
Oh, Cam Harris, yes.
Yeah, Cam Harris, and a kid named Evan or something like that. I want to say Evan.
He's.
I don't remember. I have a picture of him.
Okay.
Maybe if you look at a picture of him, you'll remember.
Well, Essence, the girl that made your thing there, she actually is the one who handles all the sponsorships.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. And it's not Snot Wheels, it's some truck company sponsors the kid, and I can't think of the truck company off the top of my head.
Wow, so I just want to show people, her name is Essence?
Her name is Essence.
Wow, she made me this cool looking coffee mug tumbler thing, and it has a lot of personal things on here. They got Dragon Ball, they have skateboards, they have Munch Gang logo on there. Pretty sweet, and I'm super stoked on that. I was so surprised. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Handmade? I guess that's why people go to the Bead Man, too. When you see something handmade like that, you're like, that was kind of made with love.
Yeah.
Right? With purpose.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And she really likes doing things like that. She's very crafty. Like most people don't know that my building is a 2-story building. It's hard to tell from the outside. So she uses part of the upstairs because there used to be offices up there, and it's her entire craft room.
Oh, so she's up there just making things.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because every first Saturday of the month, she puts on a craft fair in the parking lot at our store.
Let's take a break. I think my camera's going to die, so
okay.
I'm going to change it out, and maybe we can figure out the static going on here. I just wanted to take a break and tell you about Darkside, man. Darkside's been a really long-running local business here in town. I've always heard about it since I was younger. They've been selling bongs, pipes. They sell skateboards now, skateboard accessories like trucks, stickers, shirts. I went in there the other day and they have shirts for $25, which is a pretty good deal. Fun talking to Bruce right now. We're still in the middle of a conversation, but all right, let's get back to the show. We're talking about Essence was making these beautiful cups. She makes everything on the top floor.
Yep.
I actually had a question about, so when you moved into the building, there was an issue with the mural in the front.
There was. So when I was downtown, obviously, I used to paint the entire front of the building and stuff.
Yeah.
Never an issue. I moved to the hilltop side of town. It's more bougie or whatever.
Right.
And our initial intention was for the mural that's there to go from the ground all the way to the top of the building and all the way down.
On the right side, yeah. Or
it's going to be the entire front of the building.
Wow.
And the city of Reading got complaints. And there is an ordinance that says your artwork can only be 300 square feet, so 10 by 30 roughly.
That's a ridiculous rule.
I agree. And so did a lot of other people. I mean, I had a lot of people sign our petition about it because all over Reading, you see all these murals that are much larger. And even more so in the last 2 years downtown, they've made ones that are the entire sides of buildings
right
and
on
stuff.
The side of the Cascade, right on the side of the new restaurant Taroko downtown.
So when I asked him about that, he said, well, the downtown, if it's sponsored by the Art Association, they get special leeway.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, I probably could have fought with them, but what good does it do? And he even told me that, well, if you want to do a larger one, you can apply for a variance that will allow you to do it. And the permit application was $7,500. And They might tell me no, and that money's not refundable. So that's how they discourage people from wanting to do stuff.
That's ridiculous.
So we ended up compromising and just doing the size that it is now.
So the issue wasn't because I thought it was because it was like, I don't know, it wasn't really gory, but it was like
Well, actually,
skateboarding kind of.
well, kind of, but it's really been, bar none, the most timid of images that I ever put on my buildings. Because downtown, we had no, we just put whatever on there. We put pot leaves. We had a thing called a dab and dragon at one time. It was a dragon.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so
Dab and dragon. I love that.
yeah. So when we were on this side of town, I knew it was a little more uptight because it's the touristy more side of town because of all the hotels and stuff. So I specifically went way more towards the artsy end. And
so the design that you started was going to be, it was looked like an octopus or something like that?
it is, yes.
And so the left side is what you compromised on.
The entire thing. Because that would have been, so really what we're seeing that's on there now is about a third of what it would have been.
Oh, wow. Can't believe the city would do something like that. Why does the size of a mural matter?
I don't know. But if people didn't complain, then they wouldn't have done anything. Because when I initially talked to him, I'm all about, well, there's this one, and there's this one, and there's this one. This was before the Art Society was doing the whole sides of buildings and stuff. And he's all, well, are you complaining about them? And I'm like, no, because if I complain, you're going to go harass these people, and it's going to cost them a financial detriment because they paid somebody to paint these murals onto their buildings.
Yeah.
But, you are now aware of them. And he goes, well, if you don't complain, we won't do anything. I know it's a weird concept.
So
but
I guess I'm fine with that.
Yes. So, and so be it. I've wrestled with the city of Reading off and on over the years. When I was younger, I had no problem hiring an attorney and fighting with them. And it was all about fighting the good fight and not letting the city push me around. I hired a civil rights attorney. And when it comes to your civil rights, they have to deal with you in a different sort of fashion.
Yeah, especially when it's your building.
Yeah, well, the one downtown I didn't own. This one I own. I tried for years to buy that building, and they kept telling me no, no, no. And then someone bought that whole city block.
I wonder who.
Well, it's a company out of Stockton. I don't remember the name off the top of my head. But they buy in towns, areas that are like that, where there's older buildings partially run down, because the Reading Inn used to be right there, the Reading Hotel.
Right,
It
was. They tore the whole thing.
They tore that whole thing down. And they go in and they build typically little strip malls, which is really what the city of Reading wants to do to downtown. They want to turn it into shopping and restaurants, which is what they have done a lot of downtown. Of course, when it comes to dealing with the city of Reading, they never make anything easy.
That's right, yeah. How do you feel about the city growing in that fashion? Because within the past 5-10 years, we've had so many buildings come down, businesses move out, and new ones come in. Do you think it's good do you like Reading getting bigger, or would you rather it stay the same?
I think bigger is good.
Yeah.
They control the amount of growth that happens, and it's the growth that they desire to happen. They don't let it happen organically. Because if you notice, there's no buildings in our town, with the exception of the jail, that's over 2 or 3 stories tall.
Oh, yeah.
There's people that want to build bigger things, but the city won't let them. So they're looking at more outward expansion, which is fine. But they don't want anything taller because they don't want it to interrupt the view.
I guess that's I kind of like that.
Yes.
Right? Well, I mean, that's why we're here with all the trees. We got the lake. It's, people's retirement city. Really.
Yes.
People want to come here and retire.
And that's how they used to advertise our area to other people, was move to Reading. It's less expensive to live here than in San Francisco, Los Angeles, these other places. And homes used to cost less, obviously. Yeah. And so it was a good retirement area for people because they had stuff that they could do, 20 minutes, 30 minutes in any direction. You're in the woods or at the lake or in the mountains almost.
Yeah. Yeah, snow, lake, mountains. The coast is not too far away.
No?
Everything's, yeah, pretty much around. Yeah, I'm happy the way Reading is. I mean, I love visiting bigger cities, but I don't know if I'd want to live in a
Sure.
city like Sacramento.
No,
Or
absolutely.
like San Francisco's crazy. I
No.
don't know how people
Well,
survive. And
so I think a lot of people, if you weren't raised there but you end up moving there, it's due to the opportunities that are probably that you're looking for in life. Because Reading doesn't necessarily offer the opportunities that you want in life.
that's right. Yeah.
Like if you want to work for a brokerage company, you probably can more now because so many things are done from home. But 20 years ago, it was unheard of. If you wanted to work at a brokerage firm, you would have to go down south.
Right. I think a lot of people, I don't know if it's true or not, but like to blame the growth or like the kind of takeover on Bethel. I don't
So
know.
before Bethel, we had the McConnell Foundation, and they've been here for a long time.
Yeah.
And so I used to watch CNBC, the financial channel, years ago. I don't watch it really much anymore. And of all places they could talk about in the United States, they talked about McConnell Foundation was the poster child of why small private corporations should not be in bed with the city government
Yeah.
because they were doing things and kind of forcing the city of Reading to kowtow down to their will. Now it's Bethel.
Yeah, because Bethel, the first time I was like kind of weirded out by it was when Bethel donated money to paint the cop vehicles pink or something like that. I think.
So they, I don't know if they were the first to do it, but in October for a number of years, they painted one or two vehicles pink for the Think Pink Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's very possible that Bethel has been donating them the money. But they're a fairly new thing in our area. I mean, they've only been here for 12 years or so.
Yeah. So with the back on the McConnell Foundation, that's kind of yeah, because a couple of them were mayors, right? Or for
No,
the
I
ci- or
don't.
commit-
I
or the-
don't know if they were mayors, but their foundation definitely had their hands in almost anything that was growth wise for our area.
Wow. It almost kind of correlates to the actual government, right? When you got
It does.
lobbyists.
And then we also have now the Y2K company that wants to get rid of the Civic Auditorium and they want to build something new there. They want to change all of the Park Marina area.
Yeah. And who?
The majority of the community doesn't want it because if you lived here for any sort of time, it's what we're used to and what we're comfortable with. And I understand that, they want to build an arena down there. And theoretically, that would bring more people here, but would it?
Would it? People that we want? Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
So-
the issue was they're going to tear down that the old mining spot right
So-
next to the Sheraton, right?
So
The
that's
old
that's
historic.
that's we refer to it as the monolith. But when they were building Shasta Dam, that was part of the conveyor belt system that took gravel and rock to the dam for them to turn into the concrete and make the dam. So all of Park Marina area down there was it's owned by the Koutras family. George Koutras, I believe, is still one of their teachers out at the college. But his family owned that area downtown, and they sold gravel to the Shasta Dam project.
Wow, that's a history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I remember that from my local history class. I want to say they got like 10 cents a ton for gravel, and it made them rich.
Yeah, 10 cents a ton. That's, yeah, that's a
But in 1943, that was apparently the going rate.
yeah. I mean, 10 cents now would or 10 cents back then for now's rate is probably like thousands or something like that, right?
So
Well,
I think
actually, 40s wasn't that long ago.
it wasn't
but
that long ago.
Maybe
So,
hundreds.
It might be. It might even be less. But when you have a government project, prices get bloated. Not so much back then as they do now.
Yeah. Like building the skate parks we have along now. It costs, for some reason, there's a lot of extra fees. Like the skate park, like the concrete, all the materials could cost only $200,000 or something. But then you got to pay the workers, which is like another couple $100,000. Or,
It is. And then once again, I'll lay it on the city of Reading. Dealing with the city of Reading to do any project can make it very difficult. And they permit you to death on things.
Yeah. I'm sure it's them and also people that don't agree with the budget, the spending of, the city. They're like, why
Sure.
would you spend money on a skate park when you can add a 10th soccer field?
Yes.
It's like, what? Yeah. I mean, it's good that skateboarding is getting more popular. I mean, I like that the city is putting a little skating section right behind the library now.
Yes.
So that's cool. But yeah, the city definitely, it's hard to get by and get through them. So hopefully they have our best interest for us, but I guess we'll see in the future.
We will see in the future.
Yeah.
And a lot of that will change because as people your age starts to go into city jobs and politics, you have a different mindset than the people that are my age and the people that are older than me that have been running things for a long time.
Right.
That's what will cause change.
Yeah. Very interesting. Who knows which one's right though?
But change is inevitable.
Yeah, that's true.
As older people retire and die off, and it's been like this for thousands of years, things just change.
Yeah. Yeah, with the city too, the whole COVID thing. How did that affect your business there?
So they wanted me to close my doors, but I found a legal loophole to let me remain open. One of the things that Governor Gavin Newsom said that was an essential business was the cannabis industry.
Interesting.
Yes.
Out of everything. Yeah.
Out of everything. So I don't understand why getting stoned was considered essential during COVID, but
stress relief.
Maybe so. So when I told that to the county, when they wanted me to close, they're like, you're going to have to produce that paperwork for me to prove this. And I'm like, okay. So I got it for them and I gave it to them. And then they contacted me again. And I'm like, we don't see where there's an addendum in here that allows your business. And I said, well, it's like on page 3, paragraph 7, line 17. And she's like, oh, there it is. You're right. I guess. Yeah. Well, I think they just scanned through it looking for the word, smoke shop maybe, or I don't know what.
Oh.
And I was only lucky because I know someone else that's in the industry who's in the Modesto area. And they wanted to shut him as well, and he found that paperwork.
That same loophole.
Yeah, and so he sent it to me because we've been friends for years, and he's all like, hey, just show him this. The governor said you could stay open because you're part of the cannabis industry.
Wow. Even though, do you sell cannabis?
No.
Yeah.
I just sell pipes, which is part of the cannabis industry. Yeah.
Huh. I guess that still works.
I wish I sold pot, but...
What about the skateboard side? Were you able to sell the skateboard side during that time?
Yeah, I could sell anything in the store during that time.
Skateboards are essential.
They are.
They don't know that, but
yes,
the city didn't know that you wanted to be a lawyer either. So.
No, they didn't. And like I said, when I was younger, I had no problem fighting with the city or the state or the county. That must have been me or you.
That was you.
Okay, I thought I turned this down.
You're good.
Okay.
Sometimes you have to, sometimes you just got to push back, though.
You do. Good. But as I get older, I don't care as much.
For fighting, because it's just too much effort for maybe little budge.
Yeah, it's just, I don't exactly comply, but I've learned to try to kind of come to a happy medium to work with the city. Or the county or the state.
I know you don't sell cannabis, but you do sell salvia, right?
I do sell salvia because that's one of those weird little legal loopholes.
They're legal, yeah.
Yeah, so...
I'm pretty sure I bought some there once, and I don't know the strength, because what are the strengths? It goes from like 20 times to like 100 times or something.
Yeah, from 20 to I think 160.
160. I think I took the low dose because I didn't really...
Well, I didn't know what it was. When they first contacted me, they're like, oh, yeah, salvia is,
Tobacco?
They didn't even call it tobacco. So salvia it's a sage plant.
Oh.
The Indians in Mexico used to use it for their spiritual trail walks.
Oh, I see.
So you were supposed to use it, hallucinate, and the medicine man would interpret your visions.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So when they first, because I'm like, oh yeah, this is another fake marijuana thing. Because back then they were like, oh yeah, this and that, and a lot of times it was just herbs out of your cupboard, colt's foot, rosemary, thyme, and they were selling this as an alternative to pot that was legal.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not interested in any of this stuff, people. None of that stuff works. And they sent me this sample, and I threw it aside. I didn't even want to bother trying it. And then one day, just out of the blue, I decided to put some into my bong, and I hit it. And there is no slow come on. It went from 0 to hallucination in seconds.
Did you try the highest dose, or which one did you
I have
try
no
first?
idea what it was. Probably a 20 or a 40x would be my guess. So
interesting.
it was a low dose. But bam, it was there. It was there, and I only hallucinated on half of my body. Because on this side, I was aware of where I was at and what was going on. On this side,
That's amazing.
was something else.
You might have you might have lived in two different dimensions at once.
So when I did it, it made me think of when I was young. They would talk to us in school about things like LSD, and they would talk about, yeah, it's a dangerous substance because there's people that have used it that have never come down. Of course, they used a lot. They didn't tell us that portion of it, but anyway, so it's that kind of one of those things that stuck with me through my life. So when I did this, on this side, there was these people, like a rift opened up in front of me, and I could see these people through this rift, and it was green grass, blue sky, sunny, and they're like, come on, come on. And it actually kind of startled me, and I'm like, I don't want to go there because I'm afraid I might not come back.
Yeah, it might be too good.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But there's also, I've had friends have bad trips also, which is kind of scary.
The majority of people have a negative experience, it seems,
Yeah.
on Salvia.
I think you just have to be in like a good mindset or positive.
I agree.
Yeah. Maybe if you're dealing with stuff, maybe don't try Salvia.
Yeah, I know. I don't recommend it for most people. Matter of fact, when we sell it, if it's one person coming in and buying it, we just kind of sell it to them and roll with it. But quite often we'll get 2 or 3 or 4 friends that are coming in together, and one person would be going, hey, they got salvia, we should get some. And a lot of what happens is they're not telling their buddy. And they're going to give it to their buddy, and he's unaware of what they're doing to
What
him.
they're trying,
And I don't think that's cool. So I kind of pre-warn him. I'm like, hey, before you smoke this, just to let you know, this is a powerful hallucinogen, even though it only lasts for a few minutes. But your friends are trying to play a joke on you, and it's not really cool. You should really reevaluate your friends if they think that's funny.
Yeah, it's like, that's no good at all.
No.
Especially if you just, I mean, the trips don't last very long, do they? Like
No.
maybe 20 minutes or so?
Oh
or
no, I
shorter?
think if they last more than 3 to 5 minutes, I would be surprised.
Yeah. Imagine if you didn't know what you're smoking, and then you smoked it, and all of a sudden you're seeing visuals, you're seeing, I mean, positive, you might be like, whoa, am I in heaven? But negative,
Yes.
you're like,
And like I
I
said,
want to get out of here.
the majority of people I've talked to that have used it, when they come down, they feel angry because it's a negative experience for them. And I think it's a lot to do with the fact that they weren't prepared for what was going to be the situation. If they were aware that this was going to make them hallucinate, then it might have been a different situation.
Yeah. I've heard, so you said it goes by 3 minutes, but then while you're in it, it can feel like forever, like a lifetime.
It can
right?
seem like a long time, yes.
My friend, I don't know if it's true, but my friend told me he lived like 3 lifetimes. I was like, I don't know how you know what 3 lifetimes
Yeah.
feels like, but I'm going to go ahead and believe you.
Well, everybody's experiences are different.
Yeah. I guess I didn't feel anything. I smoked a little bit of it, thinking maybe I'll see something, but I don't know. I think the room just kind of got. It's hard to explain visuals,
Sure.
right? But the room, I felt I was sitting on a bed, and the bed kind of felt like I was on a flying carpet. But
Okay.
other than that, that was it. Maybe I was drooling a little bit, or
Okay.
but that was it. I didn't see visuals, and I was like, I don't know if I want to try anything stronger than this.
Well, it's not for everybody, and that's why quite often the shaman of a tribe was the only one who was doing hallucinogens.
Yeah. Especially with how much practice they got, they might be able to control your path of hallucination or
Yes.
whatnot. Now they got things like ayahuasca or other. Ayahuasca is supposed to be like this grand awakening of your emotions and your feelings.
Yeah.
If done right.
And I'm pretty sure that's peyote.
I think it's pretty similar. Yeah. If not the same thing, I don't know.
Which is when you take the active ingredient out of peyote, it's mescaline.
What's mescaline? Is that?
It's a hallucinogen, basically.
Oh, just straight.
Yeah, but you can get it in its pure form. That was another thing that the police took from me years ago. I had a recipe to extract pure organic mescaline from peyote.
Oh, interesting. Well, maybe it's a good thing you didn't go down that path. It's questionable.
And to be honest with you, I'm glad that the laws were tighter or stronger when I was growing up, because if the laws were like they were today, I would be a totally different person. I'd have been definitely more of a criminal without question, because people really don't get in trouble. Unless you're being violent, you hardly get in trouble for anything anymore.
Yeah, you can steal hundreds of dollars worth of stuff and not get in trouble. I think it's 600. You gotta steal at least $600 worth or something.
I think it's up to $900.
Oh, 900.
Yeah,
and $900 that will put a place out of business.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Wow. How do you deal with theft? Do you have people stealing from your shop?
It happens once in a while. If we catch you, we definitely confront you. Some people make it out the door with stuff. We've had people come in, grab a skateboard, and run right out the door.
Yeah.
And, we're not going to chase them down. If you're really desperate, and that's why I tell my employees, if they're desperate enough to steal, they're desperate enough to cause you bodily harm.
To hurt you.
Yeah. So it's just not worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, it probably isn't. It's just so frustrating, when you're just...
But when we catch them, we walk right up on them as, 2 or 3 individuals, and we'll walk right up to this single individual or 2 people and say, hey, we saw that you shoved that into your pocket. Take it out. Or we've had people take shirts off the racks and stuff them into their pants.
Yeah, they'll do whatever.
Yeah, we're like...
They think you don't see them, but you're like, dude, I see you.
Then we see them, and we have cameras all over the store.
Yeah.
And we usually leave the monitor on right at the doors so you can see that we can see everything. Mm-hmm. I used to have little signs up that said, smile, you're on camera.
Yeah. That'll do it. But they do it anyways.
They do.
Yeah. Luckily, you have a lot of stuff in like those little glass shelves or whatever.
Yes, I try to keep everything in display cases. I don't do it as much as I used to, but I used to keep everything in the displays for the most part, because it makes it obviously harder for people just to steal stuff.
Yeah. What's the worst one that you remember? Do you remember like some guy that just ran in there with a shopping cart and?
No. So the worst that's ever happened was by employees.
Oh, yeah, I could see that too. Sucks when you think you can trust somebody, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and then they kind of take advantage of you.
They do. It happens. It doesn't make me distrust the employees I have or the new hires any less, because in general, I believe that the average person on the whole is good and honest.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately like anything else. It's that small number of people that gives everybody else a negative.
Rap.
Yeah. It's kind of like homeless people. They're not all in dumpsters and throwing trash everywhere and making a mess. There are some that do, and those are the ones that make it really tough on the rest of the homeless.
True, yeah. They could be mentally disabled, or
sure.
There's a lot of reasons that could.
No, it's the same with police officers, skateboarders.
Yeah. Good and the bad.
The good and the bad everywhere.
Well, speaking of skateboarding, I didn't ask you, were you a skateboarder?
I skateboarded a little. I was more into dirt bikes when I was young.
Okay.
Last time I was on a skateboard, 30 years ago.
30 years?
Yeah.
Did you get any tricks down?
Oh,
Always
no, no, no,
kickflips?
no, no.
Just kind of riding around?
Yeah.
It's good enough. I mean, if you're skating back then, that was before skateboards were like for tricks, right?
Correct.
So these are like flat fishtail boards, maybe,
Yes.
or
So when I was in the 7th grade was my first skateboard. We got it from Kmart, and it was plastic. I think it was like I think we referred to them as banana boards or something like that.
yeah, yeah,
Okay. And you couldn't do anything with those. You just
No.
you could just ride around on them.
yeah. I mean, they're probably really small too. Like you could,
No, they were about so
they're
yeah,
that
yeah,
big?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and that's it. You just rode around, maybe for a little transportation here and there. Or,
My idea of riding around on them when I was that age is my buddy would ride his bike and I would hold on to the seat and he would pull me.
yeah, sketchy.
Yeah.
I had friends that used to. I never did it because I don't know. I feel like I've always had good vibe. Like I never wanted to do anything bad. I don't know if it's the way I grew up or whatnot. But my friends would always latch onto the back of a FedEx or like any bigger
Yeah,
vehicle.
never
and
did
sketch.
anything like that. That seems dangerous.
I'm like, that looks fun, but my morals are too good to like
Sure.
bother somebody else or affect them because you don't realize it when you're young how that guy could lose his job or something or things like that. I feel like I've always been on the good side of things. Yeah, but who knows? Maybe I could have been a little more dangerous back then.
Yeah.
But I'm here. I am who I am. Amazing. Darkside, you have the new skaters.
Yes.
What's the plan with that? You kind of just sponsor them and hopefully, so with sponsors, it's interesting because as a skater myself, the goal is to get sponsored. That way you don't have to, or that way you can get a little bit help of getting skateboards
Sure.
or skateboard
So
accessories.
I know a lot of people that sponsor, whether they're here in other cities. They don't give the kids what I call a free ride. I give them everything. I won't buy them shoes, obviously, but I give them when they get signed onto our team. They get to build a skateboard any way they want out of any of the equipment. I don't care how inexpensive or high end it is. We build them the board they've always wanted.
Yeah, I like that.
We give them a free skate tool, and we just tell them, if you break your board, come in and see me immediately, and we'll give you another one. If you destroy your trucks, if you need new bearings, anything, I just give it to them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's also, I think it's also good for the amount of, effort or things you give for the skaters. I feel like there should also be a give back from the other end.
So what I require from the kids is that I want them to do a video once a week tagging us.
Okay.
So really it's minor on their part because they're probably putting up a video once a week anyway.
Right, yeah. We love posting videos.
So that's really my only requirement of them. Or if when they're down at the skate park and, someone breaks a board or whatever, I hope they're pimping the shop saying, hey, man, go down to Darkside. They got what you need.
Refer, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way, It's a good way to help somebody, but also maybe get some return. It's like a advertisement as well.
It is. No, absolutely. And once again, I'm also giving back to the community.
Yeah. I mean, and you always have. With NS3, you've always donated to those competitions.
I did, and I give to sober grads.
Oh, sober grads.
So when the schools come and see me, I usually give them 1 to 3 skateboards. I do it for the fire departments when they're having auctions and stuff as well.
Wow. That's important.
It is.
I like that. Because we are the community that we live in, right?
We are.
I like that. And I hope it stays that way. That's why I'm worried about the city getting bigger. Because when it becomes people from out of the city that are kind of taking over, then maybe they don't care about the city as much. I don't know.
They don't. And quite often they move away from areas because they don't like what it's become in that area. But they bring their belief system with them.
Yeah.
And then they turn this into, or wherever they move to, into what they moved away from.
Yeah. And you've seen that, especially with right now. There's a lot of people moving down to Texas.
Yes, and that's been a complaint of Texas. They're like, yeah, we don't mind if you come here, but leave your what you're running from, leave it where it's at.
Yeah.
Don't bring it with you, and don't change us to be that way.
Don't bring California over here.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you plan on staying in Reading for the rest of your life?
No. So I primarily stay here because my mother is here.
Okay.
I speak to my mother every day. We go and eat once to twice a week together.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Yeah, I'm very, very close with my mother. So she's 82, and if she's not ready to retire, and she wants to stay here, I'm staying here. So I hope I'm stuck here for another 10, 20 years.
Nice.
Because that means she's still alive.
Yeah.
Because when she passes away, that's probably when I'll liquidate everything I have here and I'll move someplace else. So I don't really know where. Could be Wyoming, could be Tennessee. I don't know where.
Yeah.
But I'll figure it out at that time.
So that's your retirement plan, is kind of just... So you won't continue your business somewhere else?
No.
Just liquidate everything?
Liquidate everything. I'll have, enough finances probably at that point to live not excessively, but comfortably for a long time.
Especially if you move to a big or a smaller city.
Sure.
Like for my job, wherever I work, I make the same amount of money per hour. So if I were to live in a smaller city, like somewhere with Tennessee, where the minimum wage is still $8 or $10, right? Then my 25 or whatever I make would go a longer ways over there.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, maybe I should move over there, because 25 in California is like nothing.
It's not. However, you got to be really careful about where you choose to move to, because you want to go and visit the place for 2 weeks to a month before you really decide that you're going to move someplace. I don't like the humidity.
Yeah,
and
sucks.
It's 93 degrees there, but it's 85% humidity, so that's very uncomfortable.
Right.
So where I decide to move will be more like Reading, not necessarily getting into the 100+ degrees during the summer.
Not Florida.
Yeah, not Florida, because once again, very humid area during the summer months.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're around here a long time too.
Well, I don't foresee me going away for at least another 10 years.
Beautiful. So you got the 30th annual Mother's Day event to look forward to.
That's right.
It's beautiful. Well, I think that's it. That's all we have for today. Plus my cameras die after a little bit. So,
well, let me leave you with one thought.
Okay.
So this is something that we call thought experiments, which is something I learned when I took psychology in high school.
Okay.
And it's really designed to make your brain think outside the box.
Okay.
So do you believe in parallel universes?
I think I do. I think so.
Do you believe in parallel universes happening on the same plane of existence at the same time?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Okay. So I can explain it that even kids in 7th and 8th grade will understand what I'm telling them, so they can understand that parallel universes really exist. And we learned about this before the whole multiverse concept with Marvel Comics and stuff. So let's say you're in an airplane, all right? And you're traveling at about 400 miles an hour to maintain flight. Mm-hmm. So in your known world, you're moving 400 miles an hour. Now, if a fly comes and lands next to you on the seat, in his known world, his known universe, he's 100% at rest. Whose reality is correct, yours or the fly's? They're both correct.
Yeah, I was going to say both.
So now I can show you even another plane of reality happening on that same plane of existence at the same time. I'm standing here on the ground, and you and that fly are flying overhead right now. And in my reality, in my world, I'm on a rock hurtling through space at 35,000 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
So that's my reality. So that's three realities happening on the same plane of existence at the same time. And it's really infinite because everybody's concept of reality is going to be different.
Yeah. Wow, that's a mind blower. It is very interesting. Everybody's, and they really are in their own universe.
They are.
Whatever they perceive or whatever they see. That's it kind of gets into, like, I've heard about quantum physics.
Yes.
When two things can be true at the same time. Like, I think they explained it where if you have a box with a cat in it, you don't know if the cat is alive or dead if you haven't looked inside the box.
Correct.
So it's very interesting to me. I don't know if I'll ever understand it.
Well, it's kind of like another thing we learned is, how do you know anything exists outside
of what you see?
Of what you see.
Yeah.
You can't prove that it does. You believe that it does, but you can't prove it until you move the blind and look outside.
Yeah.
It may not exist until you open that curtain.
That's true. If there is one other universe, then there's got to be millions and infinite amount of...
Its odds are for it's infinite.
Yeah. Huh. Is that what you're into? You look deep into these type of...
No, these are... I just have random thoughts on a regular basis. My employees really like talking with me and stuff because I randomly just come up with stuff like this to talk to them about.
That's good. I like it. And you don't listen to podcasts. That's interesting.
I really don't... Well... if it was kind of documentary oriented, I would. I really like learning.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you've been a genius since you were...
Well, I don't know about being a genius, but yes, I've been, like I say, I really like learning, and I don't think anybody should stop learning. I don't care if you're 80 years old, 100 years old. Yeah. You don't want to stop learning. And one of the sad things about people that when they die, whether it's your parents, grandparents, someone you don't even know, when they die, an entire library dies with them.
Their universe, or
they have an infinite amount of knowledge that we have no idea of. Right. One of the things I used to like to do is go to the Mount Shasta Mall years ago when they used to have places you could sit inside, and there'd always be old people sitting around in there getting out of the heat or whatever, and I'd go sit down and talk to them on the bench. And I learned some of the most nifty things and found out about people's lives and things that they used to do. They would talk about growing up in the Depression and how life was back then. Just stuff.
Wow. I
used to really like engaging with people like that. Yeah. Unfortunately, now people think you're weird when you start coming up to them and talking to them about stuff like that.
This is questionable. I think that's maybe why I aim towards podcasts, because you're just sitting here talking to people. Like me and you, we've never really sat down and had a conversation. No. Maybe we've met at the store or something, but I mean, I've learned a lot just from talking to you within this hour.
Well,
so
thank you.
It's just life.
Yeah. And I like talking to everybody. I talk to people in other countries, people that I've never met, but I had done business with them. And we don't just have business conversations. A lot of them I know about their families and what they did when they were growing up and where they came from and their siblings. Some people just call me because I'm someone who doesn't affect their world, but they can communicate with me, kind of like a psychiatrist, because really for a lot of people is being able to fully speak what's on their mind without being interrupted.
Yeah. Beautiful. We need more of that.
Yes.
We need... I don't know if you've tried talking to like a teenager nowadays, but
yeah,
it's tough.
It can be.
I'm like right on the border of there, because that's why I like talking to the older folks.
Sure.
Like their whole lives were based off conversation. They didn't have social media.
No, we didn't. We also didn't have helmets.
Yeah.
No
seatbelts.
No, not many vehicles had seatbelts, and they weren't required if you even had them to. And vehicles all had ashtrays in them.
Yeah, yeah.
In the front seats, the back seats, everywhere, because cigarette smoking was a social thing.
Yeah. Casinos still do it. Households, everybody was smoking a cigarette. Yeah, at different times. But now everybody's smoking weed.
Yes, definitely that industry has definitely changed and grown a lot.
Yeah.
I did go to college for a minute, and it was to write a thesis paper on the cannabinoidal profile, which is cannabis.
Right.
So I wrote a little over 8,000 pages on cannabis in the 90s.
8,000 pages? Wow, that's...
Well, like I said, when I start learning things, I really get into it.
Wow. 8,000? That's a couple books. It's got to be a couple books.
It is.
Have you thought about writing a book or anything like that? Or?
No. I actually like talking to people about, like, if you were interested in cannabis cultivation, we could have a long, in-depth conversation just about that. And you can make it a major science project, or you can make it pretty simple. And I have found that there's a handful of simple truths that will make you grow better than the average grower. And I don't want to see just a few people do better. I want to see the average of the whole do somewhat better.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
So I won't make a book unless I'm going to give it away. I would rather just talk to anybody about it. And there were so many people that they don't want to tell you their little secrets to what they do, whether it's for growing pot or anything else, because they're afraid someone's going to come along and compete with them.
Yeah. Maybe you should start your own podcast. That'd be a good way to do it.
I've thought about it.
Audio coverage of everything. 8,000 episodes.
But no, I can get in very depth. Like we could talk about soil makeup. We could talk about different fertilizers, different composts, different strains of cannabis, hybridizing your own marijuana. It's just an endless thing.
Yeah, infinite.
And I don't even know it all. I don't even pretend to know it all.
Yeah, there's no way.
I could still learn more about it.
Yeah. Well, I love talking to you there. I didn't know what to expect because we've never met, but this has been great.
Good.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved it. Had a good time.
I appreciate everything you've done for the skate community and just the community in general, with you referring to, other companies and names and I appreciate Essence for making me this cup. And yeah, you got anything else you want to say? Maybe.
So I didn't get to touch completely. So it's June 29th. It's a Saturday. Okay. Is our skate event with the Harleys.
Oh, okay. June 29th, everybody. Skate event with the Harleys. And where's it going to be?
At the Reading Skate Park.
At the Reading Skate Park.
Kicking off at 9 a.m.
9 a.m., guys. Get there bright and early. Get your practice in. Get your kick flips, your 3 flips, your shove it's. Everything you need.
Nice.
Eat your breakfast. Eat your Wheaties.
There you go.
And show up June 29th, 9 a.m. Sponsored by Darkside and Harley.
I don't know if it's Cascade Harley. It used to be Reading Harley, but they were recently under new ownership.
Okay. And you'll see when you go out there.
Yes.
And it's awesome that it's not a skate company that's also supporting the skate community. So that's very different.
And we're hoping to have a show and shine at the same time. So I'm hoping that a couple hundred Harleys are going to show up for people to look at.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, so we're really trying to make a nice event out of it.
Yeah, just don't grind on them.
No, nothing like that.
That'd be sweet. Well, we got something to look forward to. We'll see if I can make it there. I know I got work early, so we'll see what I can do.
Well, it'll probably be an all-day event.
Okay, yeah, maybe I'll show up after work.
Nice.
And
hope to see you there.
Yeah, I do too, because I like skating.
Good.
All right, maybe one day you can get back on the podcast.
You give me a call anytime, and I'd love to come back and chat with you more. It's been a fun time.
Awesome, and I'll come inside the Darkside and check it out too. It's been a long time since I've been in there. I want to take some videos and some pictures, show, the Munch Gang listeners, followers, post it on YouTube, post it on Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, because I like what you're doing. So.
Well, thank you.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for watching this episode or listening to this episode, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace. Awesome.